Too, I taught your book, The People's History in the Prisons, and what I did was I Xeroxed it and snipped it up and made it, into a smaller book. And I was wondering if there was any thought into making that book more accessible for, like, less than college educated people, like high schools and grammar schools, because it's an excellent, introductory history of the United States.
Well, thanks, but did you hear his question? No? No, he's asking about, you're saying he taught people's history of the United States in prison and cut it up into, it was a lot to deal with, although you think people in prison, they have some time, but still, a lot to deal with. And he was wondering if there's any thought of making the book more accessible to high school students, junior high school students, and so on. Yeah, there is. That question has come up for a long time. And finally, we're about to shorten the book as a start. I know some people think, though, the language of the book should be made more easier, but and maybe someday somebody will do that for sort of lower, junior high school and so on. But I think as a first step, what we're going to do is just abridge the book, cut it in half, and I think a lot of teachers use it in high school, and they don't have much trouble with it, and I think if we just shorter, that would be a first step. Yes.
As a follow-up to that question, using your book, a classmate of mine tried to use a People's History in a law review article that he was writing, and he had great difficulty in using your book only because it was so poorly cited. Have there been any efforts to go through the book and cite many of the assumptions and the opinions and the quotations that you have contained?
Yeah. You're really embarrassing me. But of course, law reviews are, I mean, right, law reviews, I mean, I don't want to dodge the question by pointing to law reviews as, obsessively, maniacally, a footnote. Well, you've read law review articles, and, there are 5 lines on a page, and the rest is footnotes, right? So, and I guess maybe it was in reaction to, maybe I had a heavy dose of that somehow, and I was reacting against that. At the time I wrote The People's History, I sort of got into my head, no footnotes. Footnotes, they get in the way, and this and that. I'm not writing this for scholars, and so I didn't put footnotes in. I was wrong. I admit it, and I am willing to take the punishment. Whatever that. No, really, I was wrong, because a number of times this has come up that people, and every time, what's that?
It makes it very difficult if you want to follow up on one of your ideas or to learn more about something you have to say.
Yeah,
to find the information.
The pain is increasing as you speak. I know that. And I'm in a position. What happens is people write to me and they say, "Where did you get this piece of information?" And then I have to go back through, what I did and trace how I got it, and finally after hours of work, find where I got it and write back an individual letter to this person. You see, so you're right. But is anything being done about it? That's a tough question. No. I don't know. I suppose if I could take a lot of time out and do what I did, 2 hours for that one individual letter writer, multiply that, by all the possible citations in the book, and I could spend the next several years, putting together citations. I decided, yes, some people will be troubled, and maybe it'd be hard to use for some people, and some people will write to me, and other people will not write to me and just be disgusted with me. But I don't think I'm going to do it. Sorry. I feel a certain sadness descending on this audience. Yes. Andy?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to interject that in my U.S. history class in high school, we used the People's History.
our textbook.
Oh, thank you.
Could you repeat the question or comment?
It wasn't a question. It was a nice comment. She said in her classes they used people's history, and
Yeah, and the language wasn't.
you don't think the language is too difficult. And I like to hear that. Yeah. No, I don't think the language is too difficult.
Northfield, Mount Herman School, Massachusetts.
Northfield, Mount Herman. Yeah. Somebody did I miss somebody? Yes.
What do you say in the Clinton era afterward?
Oh. Well, I can see you don't want to buy the book. You see, yeah. It's only about 10 pages, and I want to write more, but the editor said, look, he's only had 2 years. You know, well, people always say that, you know. Oh, he's only had 2 years. You know, give him another 10 days, and he'll turn over completely, you know. But basically, I fit Clinton into that American political tradition, capitalism, free enterprise, nationalism, with, you know, GATT and NAFTA and all of the you know, privatization and the military budget, and yeah, it fits very neatly into that tradition. Yes. Yes.
Along those lines, there was a speaker here a couple months ago, a guy by the name of Jerry Watts, and
Jerry what?
Watts. He's a professor at Trinity College. But anyway, he was saying that one of the things that, we've seen an increasing move to the right, that kind of one of the issues is that while kind of liberals and Democrats have been willing to kind of compromise and kind of see, not projecting a utopian vision that they would hold politicians to, because kind of at the very moment when it looked like Clinton would be elected, people are willing to move in to be closer to power. Whereas he said that on the right, when there was a kind of a group on the right that would consistently project a kind of their vision of what a utopia is. It's not my vision, but they kind of projected it and held very strongly to it and kind of forced the whole agenda to the right, whereas kind of, you know, many Democrats would say, okay, Clinton is our chance to get into the White House, so we're going to ease up. I don't know, could you respond to that? I mean, is that something that you see?
Well, I suppose he's, you know, right in saying that the right wing is more forthright in presenting its position than the weaselly Democratic Party, you know, and you know, then so yes, people rush to support the Democratic Party just to get it in power, and then they find that it's in power, you know, they've gained a half a degree of, you know, progressivism over the Republicans, and so I believe it's time for, if the Democratic Party doesn't do it, and it doesn't look like they will, it's time for a political movement to declare a bold agenda, one that will appeal. Clinton is always looking, oh, where are the public opinion polls? And how can I... but in fact, neither he nor the Republicans really take a close look at the public opinion polls. Because the public opinion polls show that the public is more progressive, is ahead of both Republican and Democratic parties as far as an agenda for change. The public opinion polls have shown that people have wanted a single-payer system before everything was obfuscated by that ridiculous debate, right?